Check with the boss. Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Pat Dillon. I'm with Mosaic Life Care, and proud to officially welcome all of you to our 16th training camp, believe it or not, here at Missouri Western in St. Joe, Missouri. You know, we're proud to have you. Today, we're going to hear from our CEO, Mike Poore, CEO of Mosaic, and Chiefs President Mark Donovan. And to kick off the press conference, I'm honored to introduce Interim President of Missouri Western, Pat Lilly. Pat became Interim President of Missouri Western in May of this year, May 11th. He brings decades of executive leadership experience and strong understanding of Missouri Western in his role and his background here in the region. He previously served as President and CEO of the St. Joe Chamber of Commerce for more than 18 years. Chief Administrative Officer for Triumph Foods and City Manager for the City of St. Joseph. So Pat and I both have a long background of involvement in St. Joseph, Missouri. So he served on the board of Missouri Western State University Board of Governors, including a term as chair. So Pat, welcome to your role, your first press conference for Chiefs Camp, and I'll let you go ahead and kick it off. Pat Lilly.
Pat, thank you. When Pat Dillon gets up to introduce you, you always get a little worried, but I appreciate that, Pat. Well, welcome, and we are pleased to welcome back the Kansas City Chiefs for the 16th training camp here at Missouri Western. The enthusiasm that the Chiefs bring with them and their fans, frankly, is a great way to wrap up our summer here and to begin our school year, which will begin toward the end of August. It also gives us an opportunity to showcase our campus, and I hope those of you that are here that have not been here before take a little time to enjoy the campus and the community as well. Since we are an applied learning institution here at Missouri Western, I think it's worth noting that we have dozens of interns who are students at Missouri Western, as well as institutions from across the country that come here to work with a first-class organization like the Chiefs. I can't think of a better internship, frankly, than to work for the Chiefs. When you look around the campus as camp is occurring, obviously you see a lot of people in red and what have you, but you may not see all the work that goes on and has been going on for the last several months. It really is a heavy lift, if you will, for so many here at the university that I want to say thank you to. But it's one that we really enjoy and one that we appreciate doing on behalf of the community. And speaking of community, I will say as well that having camp here is really a community effort that includes the city, the county, the Chamber of Commerce, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and particularly Mosaic Life Care, all of whom have been here from the very beginning. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Mike Poore, CEO of Mosaic Life Care.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Poore, CEO of Mosaic Life Care, and I'm honored to actually represent the 5,000 caregivers of Mosaic Life Care. We are happy to be back into football now, and we want to welcome the Chiefs, the Chiefs Kingdom, and all the fans back to St. Joe, Missouri. And we're here to take care of them with our Mosaic Life Care caregivers as an organization. Now, we just broke ground on a $71 million cardiac center of excellence, and we are very proud of that. It's part of our commitment to the community where we are building something sustainable, just like the Chiefs. Now, we don't get a ring or a trophy, but the team comes in and works hard every day to take care of our community. So we look forward to a great camp, a great season this year, and we're all good fans to make this happen. So it's my pleasure to introduce Mark Donovan, President of the Chiefs, to come up and do some comments.
Morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. I want to thank Mike for the introduction. Pat, it's always good to see you. Feels like camp officially begins when Pat Dillon gets behind this microphone, so glad you're here. Pat, it's nice to meet you, and thank you for being here. I want to echo Pat Lily's comments and acknowledge that we really appreciate that it is a community effort. And the entire community of St. Joe, every civic organization, the citizens, our fans who are here, we really appreciate the welcome they give us and the energy they give our players and coaches every single day. Kicking off today with our season ticket member day, the first of a couple. One of the things we're really proud of and excited for, pancake breakfast for all of our season ticket members has become a very big and popular day for us. If you haven't been down to watch some people flip some pancakes, you got to come down and see it. But it's a great way to start the camp and really kick things off for our season ticket members. I typically start with football and where we are. I'm going to take a second and just acknowledge that we've had a really busy summer. As a region and as an organization, we've been working with the folks in and around the World Cup for about 4.5 years. And to be able to host the World Cup as a region has been something that we've been really excited to be a part of. I want to congratulate the entire Kansas City region, the organizing committee, on pulling off just an epic event. I believe that it's put our region on a level internationally that it's never been on before. It was a huge challenge and one that I was really proud our team was a part of to help pull off. When you think about the number of people who came through here, that's one measure. You look at the ratings, that's another measure. I think the one thing that some people need to acknowledge is the level of exposure that Kansas City got internationally is one of the things we strive for. We talk a lot about being the world's team, and I think the World Cup gave us another opportunity to show how special this entire region is and how capable this city and region is to host events like the World Cup. We'll talk a little bit later about our stadium project. Events like the World Cup and our ability to pull that off successfully actually accelerate the ability to host even bigger events at the new facility that we're building. So I'll get to that in a bit. I want to stick back to camp for a second. We are excited to be back here. We're excited to get going. We have 18 open practices this year, which I believe is the most in the National Football League. It's something that is core to our brand and core to our experience and really core to our founder, that our fans are our lifeblood, and we want to do everything we can to expose our team to them. And this is probably the best way to do that in an up-and-close and personal way. Special thanks to Coach Reed and Brett Veach for understanding how important this is and understanding how important the access is. We're going to have another hot day out there. This will be the first real practice for the players as a team. These are long, hard days. And the fact that our coaches, Clark, really communicate to our players how important it is to take care of our fans when they're out here. And that goes to a thanks to our players for staying the extra time after practice, to sign autographs after every practice, to make our fans feel special because they deserve to feel special because they give us the ability to do what we do. If you'll allow me, I'm going to read a couple important reminders that I want to make sure I get right about camp specifically. All tickets must be reserved in advance. Tickets are free, with the exception of 3 days when there's a $7 per ticket fee. There's a parking fee every day per car. We have those 2 exclusive season ticket member days that are already both sold out. I think this is a really important one if you guys could help get this message out. For our fans, if you go to chiefs.com/training camp, you got all the information in terms of practices, hours, access. You do have to reserve your tickets in advance. There are a few days that are about sold out, but there are still tickets available for most days. So go on there, get your tickets, and come up and see us. The other thing about that website is today's a good example of it. Enabling the push notification is really important for our fans. We're going to get some weather here that's going to roll in We're hopeful it's going to miss us, but the push notification gives us the ability to really communicate quickly with our fans, what we're doing, if the guys are going to be out, if they're going to be in, and give them updates as they go here. It also gives you all the rules and regulations, clear bag policy, all the things we typically do. I'm sure we'll get into some questions later about more of the specifics, but I'll say this, we're really excited to be back here. We're really excited for the support that everyone gives us. I do want to take a second and thank Andy Carter, the AD here, his entire staff. I say this every year, but we should say it more than we do. The amount of work that goes into the day-to-day for our players and coaches to allow them to be able to get through the 2.5, 3 weeks up here that nobody ever sees, the people behind the scenes. Andy and his team do an amazing job for us, and we really appreciate it. With that, I'm going to ask Mike and Pat to come back up, and we'll do our annual photo and take some questions. Am I doing one at a time?
Yeah, maybe one at a time.
All right, Pat, come up. You want us in front of us?
Yeah, that'd be great. Just kind of right in front, right there.
Got it.
Awesome. We'll go looking right here, gentlemen. 1, 2, 3. We'll do one more. 1, 2, 3. Do one more. Good. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Thank you. You bet. We're going to take one more with you.
Yep, so-
Mike, in a second.
I'm right in. Good, good.
My 5th jersey.
There you go.
1, 2, 3. We'll do one more. 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
All right,
Now
now
we'll do
one
one again.
with that.
Take a slice step back here. Yeah, we'll get a switch right. You go.
Okay. Yep, there we go.
He's got to do what they tell you.
That's perfect. Just gonna hold that right there. Good. Look right here, gentlemen. 1, 2, 3. We'll do one more. 1, 2, 3. All good? Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to open it up to questions, training camp questions for any of the 3 speakers. We'll take a few minutes for those. If anyone has anything.
Obviously, rabid fans that are going to come out for training camp, but over the last few years, when the team's had so much success, what do you see as the measure of that success when it comes to fans coming out and the differences in training camp versus not winning 3 Super Bowls every year?
Yeah, I think that, last year's last year, and that's the way this team is looking at it, and that's how we look at it. I think for the most part, that's how our fans are looking at it. Today's the first day. I would tell you that, the early results on ticket requests are pretty consistent. And you've seen that over the years. Real quickly, just to give you some gauge on sort of how consistent and how faithful our fans are, and one of the things we're really grateful for, I first got here in 2009. We were kind of a struggling football team. And if you go back and look at the records of 2006, 7, and 8 going into that season. So I asked our team to pull out a stat that we track across the league called Watch, Attend, Listen. So do you watch games, do you attend games, do you listen games? And if you look at the last 10 years or the 10 years before that, the Kansas City Chiefs fan base is 100% consistent. It stays at the same level. It doesn't matter about the record. Now, there's obviously some ticks in that, up and down. There are a lot more ways to track it now, but we have felt the support. We continue to feel the support. The traffic we see, the things we measure are consistent or up. One of the coolest things about the NFL is everybody's 0-0 right now, and everybody has an opportunity in this league to hoist that trophy at the end of the year, and we're looking forward to doing that.
Mark, with obviously the new graduation we have going on in Kansas City, and the prospect of being able to eventually maybe host training camp there in a new facility.
Yeah.
How do you view the next 5 years? Is something that you view the next 5 years as being St. Joe and a partner, and how maybe the long-term vision of it?
Yeah, let me answer that directly. We absolutely view it as being with St. Joe's and being a partner with them for the next 5 years. I think one of the things that has been really great about this relationship, and again, I'll go back to history, right? When we first signed this deal, there were a lot of questions on if we were going to be here for 5 years, right? And to be here 16 years later and say, we're still here and we still enjoy it and it still works for us, it has to work for them too. And over the years, I think what we've done is establish a really good rhythm in how we look at this on both sides, a really good understanding of each other's businesses. And if you follow our business, you see a lot of things have changed over the years, specifically the number of teams that have gone back to their training facility versus going away. it's increased exponentially. And my limited knowledge, just in learning it from the folks at Missouri Western and some other universities that we work with, is their world has changed dramatically as well. When you think about the funding and the government funding and the things that they need to do. So I think that base, that foundation, understanding each other's business is really important as we go forward. We've adjusted some things in our agreement to address that. And I just want to be clear, it's been on both sides. Like, we've done more in the past year than we've ever done as an organization to support them. They've done more for us over the years to support us year in and year out. And I think that's what makes the partnership work. We'll do that again this year. At the end of the year, we'll sit down and say what went well, what are the things we can work on, what are the challenges you face, what are the challenges we face, and then hopefully we'll continue on. We have a multi-year agreement, and we expect to be here for a long time. I will say this, just because it's the obvious follow-up question. You know, with the training facility being built in Olathe, we as an organization have to look at everything we do with options. So that training facility is going to be designed with the ability to host training camp. We have to have that option. Who knows where we are in 5 years? But that decision will be made year 4 and year 5 as we go into that building, because, you know, depending on the head coach, does he still want to go away? Does he see the efficiency? Those things will factor in. We just have to have the options.
Will that include having the ability to have fans out there as well?
Yeah, the way that it's currently planned is, and look, we've looked, as you know, Sam, we've looked across the league at how other teams have done this with their training facilities, and one of the things we've done is design it so it has enough seating. Now, it won't be a college stadium necessarily, but it'll be enough seating to host a big number of our fans for every single practice if we want to.
Are you concerned the state of Kansas is having trouble selling bonds for the new stadium?
We are not concerned about the ability to sell bonds for our stadium. If you look at the market and you talk to the experts in the market, the combination of the fact that sports-anchored real estate is probably the hottest market in real estate right now, and the power of the National Football League, it's a pretty compelling, powerful partnership. And all the indications that we have received are that it's going to be a very strong market.
Anything else camp related? For anyone? Open it up for a few minutes.
Mark, I wanted to ask you about the renderings. There's certainly a pretty heavy arrowhead field.
Yeah.
What's the balance between, obviously, you're going to leave an arrowhead behind, which you're trying to take so many elements with you to the place?
Yeah, one of the things we were worried about, you can imagine, you're in a vacuum. There are 6 or 8 of us who are working with 2 different designers on all the options. And one of the things, we did 2 really important things on the front end in giving them direction when they put the designs together. One was we shared the CSL study that we did with our fans. And we wanted them to have all the detail and all the specific information they gave to us. I think I've shared with you all before, you know, the 3 big takeaways from the study. There was a ton in there, but the 3 big takeaways were it needs to be louder, and the tailgating has to be as good or better. And the rest was just that they trusted our ability to give them something they're going to be proud of. So we gave them that. You know, we went to a pretty broad group of potential designers, and you can imagine the designs we got were all over the board. There were some really futuristic things, there were really some traditional things. And one of the things we sort of centered back on was we have to honor the legacy of Arrowhead, but we have to show a bold and innovative look at the future. And that was a challenge for our designers, like, do it. Do both of those things. And there are various degrees of that. I'll go back to the vacuum comment, which is, you know, you're sitting in that room for 4 months, looking at design after design after design after design, and we kept zeroing in on, like, we got to get the balance right of honoring Arrowhead, but also looking at the future. And I thought David Manick and his team did an amazing job of really accepting that challenge and distributing it. One of the more satisfying parts of the feedback we got after we released the renderings was that was one of the first comments from most of the fans. It's like, wow, I see Arrowhead. So we're really excited about what we were able to accomplish and the work we did with Manica.
Mark, yesterday you mentioned or it was announced the lead designer
Yeah.
How would you characterize the competition between the finalists of the firms who run into both practice facility and the state?
Yeah, this will sound a little self-serving, but it's hopefully more a credit to the team around us. We were doing a lot in a very short period of time, so we're trying to figure out who the best designer is for our stadium, what the real estate development was going to look like, the land acquisition for the stadium. At the same time, we're doing it for the practice facility. So the competition was very competitive, a lot of really talented people. It's an interesting space because some of the people who competed on the stadium also competed on the practice facility. Some people just competed on the practice facility because that's their expertise. I think with both situations, we had to look at it holistically. And by that, I mean that you got to get the absolute best stadium design in that situation. We also challenged on the stadium side, design the parking lot. And one of the things that I don't think people realize is that Arrowhead is amazing for tailgating. If you look at it from a drone, it's really not set up great from a parking lot. It's set as a parking lot. Think about, like, there's not a real straight, open pedestrian walkway to any of our gates. Well, now we're on a blank canvas. So we asked the designers, like, when you think about the stadium design, think about designing tailgating. Think about designing the lots to take into account all those things. So we did that with the stadium. We did the same thing with the practice facility. We said, think about the practice facility as you've got to build the absolute best, most functional, efficient place where we can conduct our work. It also has to be fan-facing, and we've got a real estate development around it that could include a high school football stadium, an indoor sports facility, and real estate. And that's what gets us excited, and that's what gets the designers excited. So long-winded way of saying it was a very heated competition. Happy to be with Populous. They competed in both stadium and training facility, and their team on the training facility side really separated themselves pretty quickly.
Mark, understanding you're still in the early stages, when do you start to be proactive with maybe post-2031 Super Bowl adjacent events, Super Bowl, things like that?
Start the question again, sorry.
Despite being in the early stages,
Oh.
yeah, when do you start to be proactive about events that you may be able to do that you're not able to do now?
Yeah, we had this conversation last week. We have been in discussions with the NFL about Super Bowls in 33, 34, 35. We have been in discussions, very preliminary discussions, but we are aggressively pursuing Final Fours. If you know anything or follow anything about the NCAA, they're going to go out with a bid here. And the thing about it is that if you're the NCAA, you're trying to sort of put stability into your future planning. So they're trying to lock in all these dates. We don't have a building yet, and we don't want to be knocked out of those because they've locked in so many so far out. So we were in discussions with the NCAA last week about could we bid on these dates that our stadium will be done by then, but it's not done right now. So they were appreciative of that. I think we've said to Kathy Nelson and the team there, we said to the folks who help us with these kind of bids that we're going to be very, very aggressive. We're probably going to be early bidders on most things. Acknowledging that doesn't really enhance our chances of winning the bid. Because I've been on the other side of that, and you really want stability, you want predictability, you want certainty. So it'll be a challenge, but when we did this deal, we made the commitment that we're going to be really aggressive. And we think that this facility is going to have the ability to host all kinds of events. And frankly, you think about the events that we're talking about bidding for right now, 95% of them, we wouldn't be able to bid on now because we don't have an indoor stadium. So.
Why not post tractor roof?
Yeah, we looked at it. I think there are a number of reasons that came into play. Obviously, cost is one thing. Efficiency is another. I mean, behind the scenes, I would share that we talked to every single team that has a retractable roof. And I don't want to put words in their mouth, but it was pretty clear. It's not worth it. And if you think about how many people actually use it and retract it that often, it's pretty small. And on the positive side, the technology, I mean, think about this, guys. We're 5 years away, right? We're in the design process. We just finished our design. Now we get into the details of it. The technology is changing so rapidly. And a fixed roof today versus a fixed roof 5 years ago is significantly different. A fixed roof 5 years from now is going to be significantly different. So we think the technology is going to continue to enhance that. That's one of the things about our renderings, like being able to, we really challenge the team and the technology piece and the roof people on, we want it to be as transparent as it possibly can be, because flyovers are so important to our game day experience. That's one of the reasons we cut the windows out at the ends, so you can see out there as well. So I think that technology is going to change. If you look at the roofs today, you can kind of see a flyover. We expect that our roof, you'll be able to see much more of a flyover. I'm not going to say it's going to be crystal clear, because you do have some requirements in terms of code and what you have to have in terms of filtering.
What's the likelihood of natural grass?
Yeah, so back to, I answered the question earlier about training camp and having options. We had designed the building to be able to do either. Our preference, and we stated this publicly, is grass. We want to figure that out. So, Stephen, if you're asking me today to bet, I feel pretty strongly that we're going to be playing on natural grass. Back to the comment I just made about technology 5 years from now. You know, we're in the middle with other NFL clubs who are in the same process we are, who are going to build domes. Like, can we figure out a way to grow grass indoors? So we'll continue that process. You may or may not know this. Our friends from Populous shared this with us, and have offered to take us down there to see it. In New Zealand, there are 2 rugby stadiums today. They exist. They play on them today. That grow grass indoors. So the technology is there, right? So you just got to figure out, can it adapt to our climate, our building, et cetera, et cetera. The building is designed today to be a grass field. We just roll it out like Vegas does. Arizona does it as well. But we have some flexibility on that. So, and the other side of that is, I don't think we'll end up here, but the other side of this, to be consistent on tracking technology and changes, you know, you look at what FIFA did, you look at what the technology is with hybrid fields and turf technology. We'll look at that as well, but our preference is grass.
Mark, did Clark, in fact, meet with the team last night, as he usually does before camp?
Yeah, so Clark is going to meet with the team tonight, so he'll do his annual address then.
Related to that, though, you're in a bit of a unique situation to see how both Clark and Andy responded to last season, and I know you mentioned earlier the idea that last season's last season. But just curious what you would have observed in each of their responses to how it went after successes of the 3 years before.
I'll take that 2 ways. The first is, I think how they responded is a good example of one of the things I believe that make us successful as an organization. It's very consistent. Like, there's no surprises. They both responded kind of the same way. Significant frustration, disappointment. We had much higher expectations. Andy had much higher expectations. Our players had much higher expectations. Clark and his family had much higher expectations. So it was similar. I think the second part of that is what, another thing that makes it special is, I mean, on the plane ride at home, what are we going to do to fix this? And what do we need to do to fix it? And I think that's an important point, you know, to have that open communication where, you know, we're in a room talking about what do you need to fix this, right? What do you need, Brad? What do you need, Coach? What are we going to change to fix this, right? So those are the conversations that were, you know, driven by Andy. Like, this isn't happening again. And then I would just say, you probably have seen a little bit. I mean, mindset is the theme this year, but the mindset of this team right now is, I saw it last night. I got to speak to the team last night, and you know, there's a different tone, and I think it's commitment.
What did you want to get across last night when we spoke?
So my message to the team is much more focused on making them aware of the resources and the opportunity that's in front of them. So, you know, our entire team, our entire organization, I mean, the opportunity that we have, the stage that we're on, the success that we've had, and also the business and the team popularity that we've built creates all kinds of opportunities for these guys. And we have resources for them, and we want to take advantage of those. But we also, you know, there are a lot of guys in that room who haven't been there before. So we want them to know and be aware of the resources that we have at their disposal. You know, they got a lot coming at them. And one of my messages is our job is to eliminate distractions for you. And we got 300 people back in Kansas City. All they want to do is be good teammates to you. So just tell us what you need. So the awareness of the resources and then communication channels, open those up.
Is the work at Arrowhead post-World Cup, when do you anticipate that'll be done?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. Just to give you guys perspective, our team, our operations team, has done just an amazing job. I mean, think about 4 years of construction in between seasons. Think about getting ready with all the things we had to do. And if anybody who went to the World Cup matches, you saw Arrowhead just looked very different. That's a lot of work. So they were grinding all the way through World Cup. And then just to be able to celebrate 415,000 people from all over the world coming through our building and all that created. These are the people who make that work. Think about this. The day World Cup ended and everybody's celebrating and patting each other on the back, they have about 28 days to do about 22 days of work to get ready for the NFL. So they went from full sprint to full sprint to get ready for our first preseason game. And here's a perspective that I appreciate. At the end of that second full sprint, welcome to the NFL season. So that team deserves acknowledgement, and that team, frankly, deserves a couple days off at some point because they've been grinding, but they've done an amazing job. We are in great shape. You know, the field had been taken out and replaced. People don't obviously know all the details, but you think about a soccer field, it's entirely flat, like level flat. A football field has a crown, so you're taking that out, taking all the technology out, putting the new one in, getting that right, putting the grass in, making sure it's growing correct. You're putting back all the seats that were out so that every single one of our season ticket members sitting in the exact seat they sat in last year without any change. You're fixing all the signs, taking all that back down, and then there was a lot of stuff behind the scenes that were suites and clubs and that media tribune that was put in there. You got to replace all that. So it's a lot of work, but our guys are going to get it done.
Mark, what was your perspective? What stood out to you about the World Cup?
Pride, you know, to be part of this. I mean, the amount of work, Matt Kenny from our team deserves a lot of credit. Think about the timing of this, and I'm telling you way too many stories, but think about the timing of this. Like, we get I think the first discussion on World Cup was 2017, something like that. It was crazy how long we've been doing this. And we were trying to figure out stadium. Are we staying, are we going? Getting through a vote. And I just went to Matt and said, look, here's your opportunity. I can't do this. I got to focus my time on stadium. I need you to step up. And he did. And he took over the World Cup, and he's been sort of our point for it. So really proud that all the work that was put in paid off. Really proud of this region, and proud to prove some of the things that many of us have been saying to the world and to the other markets in the U.S. and the big event planners is Kansas City's special. You just got to come see this, and you got to give us the opportunity. I remember when we went to the NFL, Clark and I went and had a meeting with Roger when the NFL draft was announced that it was going to Vegas. And this was right about the time they had just finished the stadium. And we went there, I don't want to say angry, but competitive, saying you got to start thinking about markets like Kansas City for the draft, because you're not going to give us a Super Bowl, and you're going to give Vegas a Super Bowl. So you're going to draft and Super Bowl, be equitable. And even then, we had to convince the NFL that the draft would work in Kansas City. And then we pulled the draft off, right? We had to convince FIFA that World Cup would work in the smallest city they've ever been to in the U.S. And not only did we pull it off, but we dominated. And I think I'll go back to what I said before, that puts us on a different level now. And that feeds right into the timing of this new building. So really proud that we were able to pull that off and what it means for our future.
And then one more question I would say, the budget, I wonder if it's the same after going through this design process, if you envision the costs changing at all.
Very typical in these situations where, there are two different competing forces, right? There's a designer and there's a construction manager. So we took the last two designs to two different construction teams and said, bid it, and tell us what it costs. And not surprisingly, they were way over budget. But they looked really cool. So that's part of the process, is you have to sort of engineer some of the cost savings into it. We'll be very close to budget. We got some work to do to get there. One of the biggest things is we got a massive parking lot. And it's a blank canvas, which is great, but you got to also build infrastructure and a lot of things that cost a lot of money. So we'll get there. I've worked with Clark for 18 years. We'll be really close to budget, trust me.
All right, Paul, hey, we'll close on that. You've spoken to this a bit, but I do wonder if you could elaborate on ways you think the World Cup boosted the world's team mission, despite having Arrowhead, Kansas City Stadium, and things like that.
Yeah, number one, it put us on a map internationally. Not only the exposure of the matches, but the exposure of and the awareness from social media content of foreign visitors to this region and the comments they made about Kansas City, which goes back to that pride point. But think about the things that you heard from those people. Like, they're so nice here. It's so easy here, right? All things that we know are true, but that was on an international stage. I would give you this one. This probably goes way too deep on strategy. But when you think about the commitment that Lamar made to being international and growing internationally, and the vision that he had to say that's where our growth is, in the 70s, he's saying this. And then you think about the commitment that we have made, the resources we put against financial and personal resources against growing and setting that goal. I know a lot of our fans are like, why do you spend so much time on international and branding? But think about this. Just from a statistic standpoint, sort of things that we look at that justify not only why we're doing it, but why the NFL is doing it. The World Cup final rating in the U.S. was 62.5 million people, the largest in the history of soccer in the U.S., by a wide margin. The NFL will tell you, correctly, the Super Bowl last year was 125 million, double. Biggest, strongest. We make the statement a lot about how powerful the NFL is in the U.S. That Super Bowl did 125 million in the U.S. That Super Bowl did 200 million worldwide. 62.5 million people watched the soccer final in the U.S. 1.5 billion watched it around the world. Why do we want to be the world's team? Because that's the opportunity. That's why we're doing all this, because there's a huge market out there that we need to take advantage of. And the things we've done are working, and we're going to continue to be committed to that. And that's sort of our North Star.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, guys. Enjoy camp. Come have some pancakes.